Well, we stay with education, and the Gauteng government gave us an update today on how COVID has impacted on the province. While schools are getting back to normal under level 1, the province has confirmed that over 53,000 school children in Gauteng are unaccounted for and presumed to have dropped out. This was one of the big fears, of course, during the extended school closure during the lockdown. And to discuss this, I'm joined now by Rone MacFarlane, co-head of research at the NGO Equal Education. Good evening, Rone. This figure is just Gauteng, an urban area with a lot of resources. Does it give us a glimpse into what the national dropout rate will likely be after COVID?
Yeah, it's hard to say at this point exactly what the picture is. What we do know is that it's very likely to be much higher than in normal years. And in a normal year, we are already expecting only about 60% of learners to reach matric, and eventually only about 50% of learners to attain a matric certificate. So we already have a huge dropout problem, which is going to be significantly exacerbated by the extended school closure period that we've just gone through. And if a province like Gauteng is forecasting around 50,000 learners dropping out, that paints a devastating picture for the rest of the country.
So what happens when it's suspected that a child is dropping out? Is it up to the school itself to chase up that child and find out? And what do the laws say about what is legally allowed? Because there is a period during halfway through high school when children can leave.
Yes, so it is compulsory for learners to attend school until the age of 15. So before that, there is an obligation on parents to take learners to school. But after that, it is to some extent up to the learner and their parents to decide about whether they continue staying in school. And we do see a big dropout figures in the later grades. The process for there's various structures both at provincial departments and then at the school level to try and find learners who have dropped out and get them back into school. But what's been really concerning is that a recent study by the major unions found that 30% of schools they surveyed said that one of the problems they're experiencing is that they've completely lost contact with learners and their parents. So there are some learners who they simply cannot trace anymore after this period, and it's impossible to follow up with them about coming back to school.
Why do you think it's so bad? Is it that the kids who perhaps are in very poor homes, or perhaps homes where there are problems, or kids who are really just battling to keep up with the academics, just let go in a way of this process?
Yeah, it's a trend that we've seen in other countries with previous crises, like, for instance, the Ebola crisis as well. We know that these extended school closure periods affect the most vulnerable learners the most, and especially learners who were at risk of dropping out before such an extended school closure period are much more likely to then end up dropping out during this period. And there are a variety of factors that contribute to that. In the context we currently find ourselves in, there's obviously the element where people's economic circumstances have worsened, and it might be that a family now needs a learner to take up a job opportunity to help support the family. It might be that a learner feels that they were already so far behind before the school closure period and have now missed out on all of this education, and that the pressure of going back and finishing the school year is simply too much. And that's especially in a context where some learners were able to continue learning and some learners weren't. And you now feel that catching up is just too much. So those are important factors that definitely contribute to dropouts, but also, you know, a personal connection with the school community is an important factor that draws your involvement in that school community. And when there's an extended break in that communication, it also leads to a disengagement with that space.
That's so true. Such an urgent issue that needs to be addressed. Thank you very much, Rone MacFarlane, co-head of research at the NGO Equal Education. Worrying news from the province of Gauteng. Over 50,000 children may have dropped out. That's in Gauteng alone, and of course partly because of what happened during a lockdown.